Hello, and welcome back to A Frost and Flowers. So, last time we got the bad ending for Soul. We're in Soul's route right now, and we got the bad ending. And now we have a different option where we can choose to wait and listen instead of freeing myself and running, because free myself and run will give us a bad ending. So we're gonna wait and listen to Keisha and see what happens. This is a risky move, but I'm curious to hear what he has to say. Soul, let's hear what he has to say. What? Alto, are you serious? Please, trust me this time, Soul. You said it yourself, didn't you? The project has been keeping many things away from the public eye. It would be unwise to leave for the headquarters unprepared. Lithiel sounds like he knows a lot more about the project. We can even ask him if he knows Ellis too. Oh yeah, he's not Keisha at the moment. He's Lithiel. I forgot. Ellis. Could you be referring to the healer? You know her. Yes. If we're talking about the same Ellis. Cobalt hair, small build, a potent healer. Yes, that's her. Well, that woman is indeed in the Chrismalia Project's headquarters. Sol pointed his dagger at Lithiel. How did you get this information? Don't tell me you're part of the project. It would do you no good if you keep pointing that blade at me, boy. You're well aware that I can end you right here now, right? So speak up. Whoa, calm down, Sol. Impatience was written all over Sol's face. And was that a hint of frustration Alto glimpsed? Surely he must have been overjoyed to finally meet someone who knew Ellis's whereabouts for certain. But that someone just had to be a suspicious entity who claimed to have been taken over a man's body. It took a while for his face to contort from vexation into suspicion all over again. What makes you think we'll believe your words? Words are just words for all it's worth. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. But if you are keen to know more, perhaps we can take this conversation somewhere else. My house is nearby, actually. It's much more comfortable than the heat in this scorching place. Sol pulled Alto aside to engage her in a private conversation. Don't you think it's too convenient that his house just happens to be nearby? I have to agree that it's suspicious, but I don't know why, but I just have this gut feeling that we can trust him. And you're basing this on what grounds? My guts? Ugh, you and your nonsense. But I suppose your guts can be reliable sometimes. So I'll trust you this time around. Just make sure you stay close to me at all times. Alright? Sol, I'm not a little kid anymore. In my eyes, you're still the same reckless girl I knew back then. Something gave Alto's heart a tight squeeze, a strange mixture of happiness and sadness. Does that mean Sol still sees me as the same as back then? I should be happy that we're still the friends we were, but was I hoping for something else? Oi, hurry up. I'm going to leave you behind. Leave us then. You're the one who's so eager to invite us to your house. Quit your yapping, blood moon child. What did you just call me? Lithiel threw a cynical gaze at Sol, as if surprised by his reply. He then proceeded to heave a sigh. You really don't know anything about yourself, huh? Blood moon this, blood moon that. You and the other man. Why are you so obsessed with this moon? A twinge of sadness crossed Lithiel's face momentarily. I'll tell you about it later. Now come. It's time for you to face the truth about your origins, child. Ithiel quickly turned around and walked ahead, as if trying to hide his facial expression. Sol and Alto glanced at each other and took after the man's trail. Chapter 4: Mysteries Within the Mist. They followed the man deeper into the forest, where withered trees grew strangely denser and denser. Alto could not tell which way they had arrived from. Every tree looked the same, and the mist accumulating from gods know where did not help her senses recuperate. Wait, didn't we pass this tree before? I recall the pattern on its bark. No, that can't be. The tree afterwards is unfamiliar. Hey, Sol, look at this tree. Alto turned around, only to realize that neither Sol nor Lithiel were around her. Girl, you get lost. Wait, where did they go? Oh no, am I lost? Sol! Sol! Lithiel! No reply. Oh no, I really am lost. I knew I shouldn't have been distracted. Now what do I do? What if I retrace my steps and find them? Interrupting her thoughts was a low-pitched growl that seemed to come from behind her. Oh boy, a wild beast at a time like this. She placed her hand on the hilt of her dagger, one of Sol's to be precise, and ready to sprint at the slightest of noises. It's coming. Something, a huge silhouette of a beast, lunged at Alto from her side. The growing mist had dulled her senses, and she had failed to react fast enough, earning her a cut on her arm. Alto pressed her wound. She could feel warm blood oozing through her sleeve and dripping on the ground. If I hadn't moved, that beast, whatever it is, would have snapped my head off. I must find Sol quickly. Handling this beast in the mist is difficult. Another growl, this time more ferocious, erupted from behind her, and this time her fear got the better of her, and she failed to react quickly. Shoot, this is the end for me. Sol, did Sol come to rescue us? Now what did I say about wandering off by yourself? Alto opened her eyes. Upon the sight of a familiar back, relief gushed over her instantly. Sol! Yet there was something else, a tingling sense of nostalgia at the back of her mind. Did something like this happen before? Alto briefly tried to recall her memories with Sol, yet nothing particularly similar to the situation came to mind that could explain the peculiar feeling she had while seeing his back. This isn't the time to reminisce. I've got to stand up and help Sol. But the beast was already thrown aside after receiving one of Sol's blows and was whimpering, limping, before retreating into the mist and disappearing. After making sure the beast was gone for good, Sol sheathed his daggers and turned to Alto, who was still sitting on the ground. How long are you going to stay down there, dummy? Dummy? Sol, I can see that your vocabulary has not improved since we were kids. Your dictionary really needs some revision. Ow! Alto clutched the place where the beast had grazed her. You're hurt. Don't state the obvious. He bent down and inspected the wound. Really? You've got to be the most reckless woman I've ever met. Maybe your head has been getting too many concussions, and you got a few screws loose. And whose fault was it that I kept getting concussions? Sol chuckled. Well, then I'd have to take full responsibility, wouldn't I? Sol produced a handkerchief from his pocket and tied a secure knot on Alto's arm. As he was dressing her wound, Alto's gaze shifted to the dangling feather on his ear. She instinctively reached out her hand to touch it. This is the feather Ellis gave us, right? Oh, I just noticed she has the exact same one on her necklace. Can't believe you've been keeping it with you this entire time. You too, right? That feather necklace was Alice's gift. It's pretty, after all. She said that the feather was from a majestic bird and that she took great lengths to obtain it. Yeah. Sol and Alto gazed at their respective feathers, suddenly feeling Ellis's presence all over again. Ellis was one who rarely gave gifts, probably due to her busy schedule, but this item was an exception. She said she personally collected and made it especially for her two best friends. Sol and Alto immediately broke out from their reminiscing and turned around, only to see Lithiel casually leaning on a tree while laughing. I like Lithiel. I hope he's the secret root. That feather from a majestic bird. Hey, what do you have against it? Well, if that majestic bird you're referring to is a chicken, then you're about right. A chicken? I've seen enough chickens for a lifetime to know that the feather came from a chicken, preferably plucked from its buttocks. Eh? Seriously? I was wondering why the two of you wore chicken feathers as an accessory. Now I know why, and oh, the absurdity. Lithiel could not contain his amusement and continued cackling, almost choking on his own laughter even. The two friends, on the other hand, felt their faces getting hotter with every passing second. That hardly comes as a surprise, knowing that Alice was, just being Alice. Even though she's the responsible one between the three of us, I have to admit, she does have her own share of mischievous streaks. Bullying us, no doubt. That's hilarious. Now, let's get going. Else you want to continue sitting here. It's easy to get lost around these parts, so make sure you keep up with me. And just so you know, the mist is caused by these flowers. He picked up a silver flower from a nearby shrub. It immediately sprayed a whiff of mist at his face. Silver blooms, I call it, would protect itself from predatory insects by producing mist to conceal itself. Don't worry, it's not dangerous. And given that it's only native in these parts. He smirked, a playful glint reflecting on his eyes. It makes a perfect place to hide some secrets, no? Now come along. Lithiel started moving again. The two followed suit, but this time, Sol made sure he had Alto's hand in his. Oh, they're holding hands. After what seemed like forever, the trees thinned, though the mist showed no signs of diminishing. Lithiel suddenly stopped in his tracks. Why did we stop here? You'll see. Lithiel bent down, tracing a circle on the ground with his finger. A golden glow illuminated from the surface, but it was not all too bright as the mist diffused its faint flare. Something was rumbling underground. Phil gripped Alto's hand tightly, wary of the horrific things that might ensue. But there was nothing. The light quickly faded, leaving a circular crevice in the ground. After closer inspection, Alto realized it led to a set of spiral staircases. Lithiel entered the opening and took the first steps down the staircase. So, are you coming or not? Alto and Sol shared a look of suspicion before following the man into the hole. Yes, let's follow the strange man into the hole. Lithiel lit a lantern stowed by the entrance, and led them down the spiral staircase, lighting braziers as they descended. Alto gaped. There was more than one floor, and every single wall was lined with shelves brimming with books. This place. So many books. It It's heaven. The underground library. That's what I call this place. This is my home, my refuge, my treasure trove. Lithiel ran his hands along the row of books. The way he gently brushed each one of them showed how much he cherished each and every one of them. I've collected all of these, you know. 100 years, no, perhaps 1,000 years worth of treasure. He smiled, clearly proud of his collections. I've stopped counting time ever since I was exiled. Hours, days, years, they're all the same to me now. Exiled? Are you some criminal sorcerer exiled from a kingdom? But he can't use magic. Lithiel did not answer the question. He was busy raking through some drawers to find his tea bags, only to find that they were way beyond their expiration date. Not that he had to think hard about it, though, given that they were now covered in dust and mold. Of course, no consumables would have survived for 100 years. Oh, I have some tea in my canister, along with some food. Perfect. Give me it. Alto handed Lithiel her canister. He, in turn, took out an apparatus Alto had never seen before, brushed the dust from it, and placed her canister inside. Oi, oi. This isn't the right time to have tea. Whoa, I've never seen a device like that before. Of course you haven't. I invented it. Cool. What does it do? Eats whatever object's given to it. In this case, it will heat your tea and make sure it's delectable to our taste buds. How does that work? I thought you can't use magic. Not everything revolves around magic, my dear. When you harness the energy of nature properly, you can do miraculous feats people would dream as magic. Of course, it requires years and years of research if you want to make such a device. Lithiel, who are you exactly? Lithiel was quiet for a while, as if pondering what to say. The two watched him silently as he moved to the table and sat before sighing loudly. So, do you want the short answer or the long one? The short one, please. And make it as concise as possible. We don't want to waste any more time with you. Lithiel sighed again, yet the amusement in his eyes was plain to see. Your soul, correct? That's right. Your initial assumption of me was correct, Soul. I've worked with the project a long, long time ago. In fact, I was one of the founding fathers of the project. But the project was established about 100 years ago. How are you one of their founding fathers? Oh? I thought you wanted a short explanation? Never mind. Continue. Perhaps this isn't his original body? He did say his soul was from the book or something, so he might be 1,000 years old and we wouldn't know. Let's keep it that way for now. Anyway, in the past, I joined them for a very simple reason. That reason being that I was bored. Lithiel did not wait for their grunts or protest to subside before continuing. And that I kind of believed their ideals. They were a bunch of foolish humans with their foolish understanding of nature, coming to me saying they wanted to find a way to let their non-magic counterparts experience the joy of magic. So, you helped them. I was a learned scholar, you could say. I've had all the knowledge one can know about nature, and I certainly know how to extract the flux present from Gaia. So yes, I did help them. Foolish mortals who had foolish ideals. But I suppose their mortality is what makes them interesting. I digress. As years passed, the humans I worked with were also getting older and older, getting closer to their demise. It wasn't long until the project's goal changed. Instead of creating Chrismalia shards to make others experience magic, they wanted to use it to make themselves immortal. Immortal? Is that even possible? It depends on what you mean by immortal. To live forever is impossible. Nobody lives forever. Even the gods have an expiration date that will erase them from existence eventually. But long enough to see the rise and fall of kingdoms certainly is possible. In theory, at least. So, what makes it impossible in practice? I've been telling them again and again that extracting such magic from nature alone is impossible. There's only so much flux you can harness from things like flowers, trees, and frost. I've told them this so many times. But they twisted my words and began to extract flux from conscious beings instead. Conscious beings? It started out with animals, fish, chicken, birds, which definitely contained more flux, and they possess what other living organisms lack: consciousness. Consciousness implies a larger gift of flux bestowed by Gaia itself, and they exploited those for their own purposes. I tried to stop them before it was too late, before they committed the biggest sin known to mankind: manslaughter. Oh yeah, they're using real people to get magic. It's kind of messed up. There are the rumors that the Chrismalia project have been using human lives. The project were not unfounded after all. Oh, you knew? Yes. Unfortunately, no amount of persuasion could bring them back to their senses. Seeing that they possessed the knowledge that I had, they no longer found use for me and locked me in a cell, kicking me out of the project. I rotted away in that cell for many long years. I don't even remember how long it had been. I'd stopped counting days. But one day, through some stroke of good fortune, someone detonated an explosive in the project's headquarters. Lithiel's sneering gaze shifted to Alto, whose face visibly flushed red in embarrassment. That created a huge distraction in the headquarters. I had all the time in the world to flee then. In a way, I should be thanking you. Hold on. I don't recall seeing Lithiel anywhere during the explosion. How does he know me? Wait, was he the one who rescued me? And what's with all this soul business? For the love of... Whose soul is in the vial right now? You wanted the short answer, right? Cole rolled his eyes. Clearly his request for conciseness had backfired on him. We know who it is. It's Keisha. Because we did Keisha's route first. Let's just say the soul that you have captured in the vial right now was one of the deciding factors of my plan. Your plan? My plan to destroy the Chrismalia project once and for all. As if prompted, the device where Lithiel had put Alto's canister started ringing and vibrating. He quickly attended to the machine and pulled out the canister with his bare hands. Ooh, hot. Man, I hate this body. You humans are sensitive to every little thing, aren't you? Heat, cold, pain. Those silly little things you call emotions. You sound like an old geezer. I don't know if you're trying to insult me, but you're not wrong. Alto helped Lithiel pour the tea into cups. She snuck a glance at Sol, and needless to say, a lifetime's worth of skepticism was painted all over his face. Sol really doesn't believe him, huh? Sure, whatever this guy's saying sounds a bit far-fetched, but what do I think? Do I trust what Lithiel is saying? I think we should trust him. I mean, only because we know he's telling the truth because we played the other route first. I'm gonna trust him. Although it's hard to believe, whatever Lithiel has said so far does align with what happened these past few days. He wouldn't have known the explosion if he wasn't directly involved with the Chrysmalia project either. Lithiel, you said that the soul currently trapped inside Soul's vial is a vital key in your plans to destroy the project. But why do you need him? And why do you sound so relaxed when this important factor was taken away from you? A very smart observation, my dear. Lithiel stood up and brought his hands in front of his chest, palms up, and closed his eyes. Alto, get behind me. Soul, immediately wary of whatever he was trying to do, pulled Alto behind him and shielded her. But nothing happened. Not even the faintest of sounds were produced, even as the seconds turned into minutes. Lithiel opened his eyes and placed his arms back to his sides once more. Fooled you. What makes you think I can harm you? This body has long lost its ability to wield flux. Or in layman's terms, I am a full-fledged non-magic user. Does that mean that he once used to? Even if I wanted to, I would never be able to destroy the Chrysmalia project by myself. What can I do with this feeble body anyway? Answering your question, girl. During the years I spent being stowed away in the project's cell, I plotted their downfall. I formulated blueprints for a device that can destroy the main generator they used to extract flux from living beings. But to do that, I need a magic user. Someone's soul who I could borrow for a while to power this device. I'm technically doing what I told the project not to do, but this will be the last. That's why you need his soul. No. That's right. The vial you have right now contains the soul of a powerful sorcerer who was kidnapped and forced to work under the project. I made a pact with him, and he agreed to help me in powering this device. But if possible, I would like to avoid eating up someone else's soul. Well, now my wishes are answered. Lithiel turned to Soul, his eyes sparkling a gleam of childlike excitement. Soul, meanwhile, looked like he could burst out of the library if Lithiel took another step towards him. And what are you staring at me for? You, yes you, child of the blood moon. You're the one I'm looking for. The very key to success. Our trump card to defeat the project. What? When is your birthday? Sorry? Tell me your birthday. I don't see how this question is relevant. Every time Soul took a step back, Lithiel would answer by moving a step forward. You must have a birthday. Everyone does, right? Do you know what a birthday means? It's the day, month, and year you were born in. I know what a birthday is, dumbass. You just stay away from me. He's moving closer. I just imagine he's backing him into one of the bookshelves right now. Then why do you refuse to tell me such a simple answer? Lithiel, stop it! The two turned to Alto, wide-eyed. Getting an angry shout from the usually amiable girl was unexpected for the both of them. I don't understand how Soul's birthday is relevant to all of this. You please stop pestering him about it. You're making him feel uncomfortable. Lithiel stopped chasing after Soul and finally recomposed himself. Alto, on the other hand, pulled Soul aside, wearing a look of visible apprehension. Well, are you okay? I know this topic is difficult for you. But he probably doesn't know his birthday. No, I'm sorry. I was just being too sensitive again. It's not true. Thanks for standing up for me, Alto. But I should tell him the truth. Forgive me, kid. It was never my intention to frighten you. Here, would you like some sweets? Here, child, get in the van. I have candy. Lithiel, who desperately sought ways to soothe Saul's temper, tried to coax him with a wrapped sweet, like what one would do with a child. Unfortunately, said sweet was 100 years past his expiration date, and his actions only earned him a look of disgust from Saul. Seriously? I was told that this is the correct way to make a child happy. I am not a kid. To my age, everyone looks like a kid to me. I don't have a birthday. This is why I can't answer your question. Your parents never told you? You've never celebrated your date of birth, then? Never. My parents said that they forgot when I was born. I was just that unimportant to them. How is that possible? You forget when you birth a child? That seems like something you would never forget. Soul. Lithiel let out a chuckle. What good, protective parents you have, then. What? Lithiel, surely you don't mean that. I'm not joking. Your parents have made the right decision to conceal your day of birth. Oh, I guess he was born under the blood moon. Should anyone know that you were born the night of the blood moon, you would be exploited to no end. What? What does that mean? Why would anyone exploit a child born then? Alto, you know about the blood moon, yes? Yeah? I've read up on it a bit. Good. Saves me time explaining the basics. Is everyone just going to ignore me? Sorry I haven't read up on it, okay? I read the book while waiting for you in Al-Sharan, so I can explain it a bit to you. The blood moon is a very rare occurrence that happens once in 1,000 years, but no one can predict when it will next appear. I've read that the moon turned red like blood, hence its name, and would grant strong magic powers if you were to extract magic from it or something. Well, that's all I know, honestly. So why are children born on the blood moon exploited? When a child is born to the night of the blood moon, they are granted special magic capabilities, and it is even rumored that they can summon the blood moon again. Experienced sorcerers can distinguish a child born on the night of the blood moon easily. Their magic aura is the color of blood, the strongest color of magic in Gaia. Color of blood. So, the most recent occurrence of the blood moon was 19 years ago. It was the only date I remember when I was locked up in the project's headquarters. Even though I did not see the blood moon with my own eyes, I could feel it. Non-magic users would have no problem feeling the strong magic prickling on their skins either. Lithiel placed his hand on Soul's head. The bounty hunter was surprised, but allowed it to stay there for a while. I was once a sorcerer too, you know, and I can see the faint color of the flux radiating off of you. It's red. Blood. So even if your parents never told you your birthday, I can be the one to tell you. 15th of August, 19 years ago. That's when the blood moon occurred, and also when you were born. Paul swatted the man's hand away. That still doesn't answer the question. Why are these children hunted? Is it just because they wield special powers? Prismalia Project's end goal is to make an ultimate artificial power source, one that can provide immortality or even become Gaia's greatest weapon of destruction. But they are missing one final ingredient, the source of the power itself. Right now, the only thing in existence to power that monster of a weapon is the legendary Blood Moon. That, or consuming the souls of thousands of human lives. But didn't you say the Blood Moon occurred 19 years ago? The prototype was not ready then. They tried to extract the Blood Moon's power then, but the extraction failed. And besides, as you read, Alto, no one can predict when the next Blood Moon will appear. No one. Perhaps the gods don't even know. It's a mysterious occurrence that is beyond the world's control. I see. So now their only course of action is to hunt for children born on the night of the Blood Moon. You said that it's rumored that they have the ability to summon the Blood Moon after all. So far, I've never seen a Blood Moon child summoning any. But all I can say is the Blood Moon's magic is rooted inside that individual's flux. If trained correctly, a Blood Moon child has potential to become the most powerful being alive, Gaia. Powerful, but also dangerous. Paul's amber eyes were narrowed. He looked like he was struggling not to recall something buried deep in his memories. Paul, are you okay? Paul? Sorry. I think I need some time alone. Abandoning his entire bag, Sol dashed up the spiral staircase and exited the underground library. Sol, wait! Maybe this was too much information for him to handle. Lithiel sighed, taking a sip of tea to soothe his throat after his lengthy explanation. Alto, I know everything I say sounds like a tall tale to you, but I need your help to stop the Chrismalia project. We don't have much time left on our hands. If we don't stop them, needless blood will be spilled and countless lives will be lost. You and that Blood Moon child will be the key to this operation. That boy, he's hiding so much potential because he's scared. Scared? Scared of something. I don't know what, but there must be a reason why a magic user chose not to use magic his whole life. That's true. I've long since asked him the same question, but he's never given me a proper answer. Thanks, Lithiel. I'll go talk to him now. Alto made her way up the staircase, but stopped and turned back, meaning to ask Lithiel an elementary question that had weighed on her mind from the very start. Lithiel, will I ever get to know who you really are? Lithiel laughed, a mischievous glint sparkling in his magenta eyes. Alto could not shake the feeling that there was more to him than how he looked. There was something otherworldly about him that she could not put her finger on. Hopefully we get to learn more about him in the secret route, which will hopefully be him. And why does it feel like I've met him somewhere before? Who knows? At another time, perhaps. In another route, perhaps? It was dark outside. Alto had not realized how quickly time flew. They must have been in that underground library for hours now, for the sky was pitch black, devoid of stars. Only the circular arc of the moon remained. Sol! Sol! Where are you? Couldn't have gone that far. Alto paused from searching and dropped the heavy bag that she was carrying. Jeez, he even forgot to take his bag with him. Does he really have the guts to leave it alone with Lithiel? What if he turns out to be a scammer and decides to run away with all our belongings? Well, I don't think he is, but it isn't like Sol to be this reckless. Tired from all the pointless wandering around, Alto decided to stop by a clearing and rest for a while. She sat down on the sandy ground and leaned against the bark of a withered tree. To her left were shrubs of silver blooms, apparently taking a break from spouting mist at night. There were a few who spewed a spray of mist. when Alto approached, but it dissipated after a while. Ithiel was right about the flowers. They're quite harmless. The fog doesn't seem poisonous either. Alto let out a sigh and stretched her legs. It has been quite a day. Think that I've learned so much in just a single day. She sighed again, feeling all the exhaustion sinking into her body. Feeling thirsty, she opened Sol's bag to see if he had a canteen of water somewhere in his possession. That he did, but as she fished it out of the bag, something else dropped along with it. What is this? A book? Reminds me, I should give him the pen I bought for him in Al Sharan. Curiosity got the better of her, and she flipped the book open. Girl, are you reading his diary? To her surprise, it was a diary. Yep, she's reading his diary. Well, it started out as a diary at first, but the more she flipped, the more she realized that most pages were filled with poems. Some were penned with elegance Alto knew she would never achieve, but some were just scrawls, as if its writer was in distress. Think that he still keeps a diary. My hunch back then was spot on, then. Alto stopped at a random page and decided to read the content. Day XX. I've met her again. For 2 long years. Every time I see her, I'm always reminded of the time I almost wiped that smile off her face. For good. It churns me with guilt every time I remember it, but I'm glad to be the one to rescue her. Imagine if I hadn't taken this job. I found myself in Sathania. What would have happened if I wasn't there? Would she have been rescued by someone else? Or would the next time I see her be in death's gates? Oh, I feel like it's a crime to be reading this, but to think that he felt such guilt. And what does he mean by almost wiped that smile off her face for good? There was a space from the previous lines, indicating an interval between the previous entry and the next few lines. This cheeky monkey. I can't believe she has the audacity to just fall asleep on my lap in the middle of a conversation. I wish I could push her aside. My eyes are getting numb. This must be when I dozed off. Well, that was mildly embarrassing for me too. Well, it's been hours since she slept, and since I was stuck here. Somehow managed to undo her braid and played around with her hair. She wouldn't let me do that when we were kids, but I was always memorized by how soft her hair could be. When she wakes up, she noticed her braid went through a reconstruction. Perhaps not. I'm quite sure I did a good job in braiding. I've always been good at that. Heck, wasn't I the one who taught her how to braid? Alto closed the accursed diary immediately. Her heart was thumping like crazy now that she could not find a way to stop it. Heat had risen all the way to her ears, and she tried to comprehend what she had just read. Sol did what? Sol did what? Oh, my braids. No, I did not notice. Oh, I feel so defiled right now. Okay. No more reading his diary. I'm going to bury myself in embarrassment, and if I read him reading any more about me. They say reading a diary is akin to reading someone's heart. Thought of Sol being a softie deep inside will only make me all the more nauseous. The butterflies in her stomach, however, had nothing to do with nausea. Yeah, of course they don't. An idea suddenly popped in her head. Hey, I know how to find Sol. It's quite simple, really. She stood up, flipped through Sol's assortment of poetry, picked a random one, and gathered her breath. What more can I ask for than longer nights and shorter days where the sun burns bright? From forever I've wished time can freeze, and let all the agony and misery cease, so that for once the weight of the day will not fall prey to my narrow ways. Alto paused for a while, looking to her left and right, but there was no Sol in sight. Perhaps I didn't recite it loud enough, or maybe I'm lacking some raw emotions. I got it! I need to recite this with more passion! Alto flipped to another page containing a different poem. Let me escape to a place where no one can hurt me, where I can be myself, and put down that smile I have rehearsed all the while. Why do I smile when I'm dying inside, bleeding internally, and ink stain spills over my veins? Oh boy, this is so embarrassing. I mean, it's a piece of art, alright, but man, who knew that Soul had such a poetic talent hidden in him? I wonder who hurt him to make him write such things. Alto flipped again, this time choosing a poem that seemed slightly less angsty. This'll be the last. If he doesn't come around this time either, I'll stop looking into his diary and continue with my legwork. She took a deep breath and began reciting. 1,000 flower petals danced tonight, 1,000,000 melodies, 1,000,000,000 notes. It was all cacophony before, but now we sing and breathe with our souls. Perhaps it was a one-night occurrence, but will this happen only once in a blue moon? Alto suddenly heard the rustles of bushes behind her, accompanied by frantic footsteps. Soul appeared quite haphazardly from the throng of trees, his face boiling red with embarrassment. What? I didn't know you were such a poet. You shouldn't be looking at other people's stuff. Soul desperately tried to snatch the diary away from Alto's hands, but he missed, and Alto simply would not give up a chance on pestering poor Soul. That was, and would always be, her favorite pastime. Alto flipped through another page, reading a random poem just to make Soul even more embarrassed. Someone save me from myself before I lose control and sell my soul and replace it with a smiling stone. Soul had tackled Alto to the ground before she could continue reading out the next stanzas. Stop! Give me back my... You're what? You're what? Give my diary back! So the baby Soul still keeps a diary, huh? Tell me, Soul, what were you doing to my hair while I was asleep? What, you read that part? Soul tried to snatch his diary again, but Alto had extended her arms before he could grab it. To think that you enjoyed braiding my hair that much. You should really consider switching careers, you know. Maybe a hairstylist or a poet would suit you better than a bounty hunter. Soul's cheeks were now a pair of tomatoes, and Alto finally felt bad for teasing him to that extent. She began to think that the prank had gone overboard. Give me that! Soul suddenly lunged forward, reaching his arm out and successfully touching the book. Got it. Oh, their faces are so close together, of course. Before they realized it, their faces were so close to each other, and for a moment, they stared into each other's eyes. This is the moment when they realize, oh, maybe I have feelings for this. Maybe they could, let's go. It was Alto who averted her gaze first, feeling the heat rise to her face. All right, fine. Take your diary back. Soul happily obliged, and they broke off from their sudden proximity. Alto couldn't help but chuckle. So nostalgic. It really takes me back to the old times. This moment reminded them of their childhood, but somehow it was different. It wasn't the same feeling that they felt when they were children. They felt as if there was something more. They quickly scrambled to their feet, putting on an unperturbed expression while clearly hiding the awkwardness. Alto brushed the sand off her clothes. You know what this reminds me of? That time we escaped from your mother and plunged into a pool of mud to disguise ourselves. Yeah. Sorry for dragging you into that mess. You know how my mom could be. Or that time we played hide and seek. Right. We found a great hiding place, but it turned out to be some thug's hideout. That was so dumb of us. We even tried fighting them. Stay behind me, Alto. That's what you said. But you ended up running away first. My bad. Do you remember what happened next? Well, they did beat us up pretty badly. We managed to run away from them. Alice almost fainted when she saw our injuries. She even gave up on healing us. Stay injured, was what she said. Alto and Sol laughed so hard that they were back on the ground. Laughing so much had robbed them of their physical capacity, it seemed. They were now sprawled on the ground, waiting for their laughter to slowly subside. Aww. This is cute. I like the childhood friends trope is cute. A day, huh? But a day indeed. Silence hovered over them, and for a while, all they could hear were the chirps of the desert cicadas. Sol, can I ask you a question? Sol turned his head to face her. Why did you choose not to use magic? Surely it's not simply because you have no teacher to train you, or that your parents forbid you. Though, Knights, some of your family members are magic users. I know how strict your parents were, but... There was an unreadable expression on Sol's face. You can tell me, can't you? If it's not because of your parents, then it'd be because of me. Oh, that's it. I knew it. I knew that I was the cause, ever since I read that entry in his diary. It was because of me. Please tell me. What happened? Did I fail to remember something that happened in the past? No! That's not it. Tell me, Sol. I want to... No, I need to know. I'm not sure if you'll ever forgive me if you knew, Alto. Hey, it's all right. The fact that I'm here and alive means something, right? Oh, please, please tell me. I want to know the truth. Sol inhaled sharply, trying to steady his breathing. It happened 10 years ago. We were out in the woods, playing and fighting as usual. That day, due to my insistence to explore, we found ourselves deeper in the woods. There was a large beast greeting us there, a kind that usually would not dare to approach the village, but had no problem facing two children who had nothing but wooden swords to defend themselves with. I don't remember the beast's exact appearance, but I remembered its humongous stature and sharp claws. We ran as far as we could, but the beast caught on to us. We tried hiding, but the beast would track our scent. At long last, with all our efforts to lose the beast put to naught, we were stuck in a dead end. We were stranded with nowhere to go. Ah! Alto! He was sprawled on the ground, unconscious. Alto! Alto! Stick with me! But no matter how much I shook you, you wouldn't open your eyes. I panicked, but the beast was nearing me and readied its claws to end me. I felt something strange then, something stirring in me. It felt as if a fountain of power welled up inside my chest, waiting for my instructions to unleash it. I didn't know what it was, nor had I felt it before. But what could I do in this moment of desperation? Ah! Red, everything was covered in red. I saw red lights like blood circling around me, all too eager for me to give it command. I felt powerful then, felt like I could do anything. The beast was scorched by my magic in a fraction of a second. I did not even realize what I was doing then. It just felt so satisfying to be able to destroy a living being without lifting a finger. Now that I think about it, it felt as if the magic was consuming me instead of the other way around. There was destruction everywhere. The ground beneath me trembled with such force, but it was almost unnoticeable for me. Oh, stop! He tried to get closer to me, to pull me back into my senses, but the only thing that pulled me to my senses, realizing that my magic had harmed you. that's what happened. Sorry, but I don't recall any of that happening. Of course you don't. You've suffered a serious injury because of me. You would have died if Ellis hadn't healed you in time. I almost killed you. That was when I swore to myself that I would never use that accursed magic the rest of my life. Alto placed her hand on top of Soul's trembling one. Silly Soul, you didn't kill me. You saved my life. But to think that you've been suffering so much because I fainted a little in the past. Please don't let that incident weigh you down with guilt any longer. You're gifted with so many unique talents, Soul. Whether that's writing poetry or braiding hair. Stop it. Or even controlling the power bestowed upon you by the Blood Moon. Remember in Al Sharan how you fixed the kid's toy? Successfully controlled your powers and made him happy. I'm sure that no power can make you lose your senses. And even if you fall prey to the darkness of your strength, well, I'll always be here to smack you back to your usual self. Alto. So don't worry about it, okay? It's time to put your dormant powers into good use. Alto let those words ring in Soul's head and returned to lying on her back once more, gazing at the full moon on the starless sky. Child of the Blood Moon, huh? Sounds super edgy. I think it really fits you, Soul. Stop it. So, are you going to take on Lithiel's offer? You know, to train under him? He's a weird guy, but I think I can try my shot. Ugh, I can't believe we've been roped into a plan that involves destroying the Chrismalia project. And all we wanted to do was rescue our childhood friend. What Lithiel said, Chrismalia project has been wreaking havoc in Gaia. If that's really true, then I want to prevent them from achieving their goals at all costs. Thought you were an avid supporter of the project. That was before I knew the methods they employed. Say, Alto. Yeah? All this time, we've assumed that Ellis was kidnapped and forced to work under the project, against her own will. What would you do if she actually chose to stay there of her own accord? Alto turned her head towards Soul, meeting his amber eyes that equally reflected confusion and conflict she felt upon pondering the same question. I've never thought of that before, honestly. It was only recently that you told me Ellis might have been captured by the Chrismalia project, and it was just today that I found out that the project wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. So, I don't know how to answer this question, Soul. But if Ellis chose to stay with the project, I'm sure she must have a reason. Like, perhaps she sticks with them because she believed in their ideologies, but has no clue about their means. True. That sounds like Ellis, all right. Except now we know, because we did the other route. So we know she's there because of that guy, whose name I forgot. She's there because she wants to be with him. So she's choosing to stay. Oh, and another thing. This is for you. Alto produced the fountain pen she bought and from the merchant in Al Sharan and handed it to Soul. A fountain pen? Thank you. Yeah, it's so that you can write more poetry anytime and anywhere. Cut it out with the poems already, will you? And Alto, thank you for always being there for me. Soul smiled. It was a slight smile, albeit a precious one, and Alto could feel that it truly came from the bottom of his heart. Just kiss him already. And sorry for what I did to you in the past. The past is the past, Soul. In fact, you saved me, didn't you? And just a few days ago, you saved me again. With or without magic, you'll always be the Soul I know. Rebellious, edgy, yet secretly poetic boy who never runs out of sarcastic retorts. He could use an upgrade in the list of names he calls me, though. What did you say, dummy? See? So, shall we get going now? Alto was just about to stand up when Sol pulled her wrist, and now she was on her back again, though she landed on something soft instead of the hard ground. Did she land on his chest? She only took a second to realize that she had landed on Sol's chest. There it is. She opened her mouth to protest. I'm too tired to move. Can we just stay here a bit longer? He sounded so exhausted then. Alto wondered just how many sleepless nights he had spent alone after a long day of working for the Desert Falcons. Surely the work must have been taxing, and to think that Alto had never seen Sol sleep peacefully ever since they were united. He was always up and about, sleeping while staying alert. Alto thought that it was his insomnia at work. What if he forced himself to stay awake to guard her as she slept? A far-fetched thought, and Alto felt embarrassed just coming up with the idea. But it was more than possible, and the thought of Sol protecting her all this time made her heart skip beats. Without the slightest warning, Sol tugged the band fastening Alto's messy hair together, letting her hazel hair come loose. Hey, what are you doing? Your hair's so messy. I could use it to ensnare a Vitor boar. Just when I thought you were being nice. Alto struggled to break free, but her hair was now entrapped in Sol's grasp. Stay still for a while, won't you? No one fixes your hair. Spiders might mistake it for a set of cobwebs and lay eggs in it. Fine. Oh, they're so cute. Oh, he smiled. And so Alto decided to stay still, letting Sol comb her chaotic hair with his fingers. She had to admit that it felt nice, nostalgic even. Now that I think of it, didn't Sol do this a lot when we were kids? He said he's always annoyed by how wild my hair was and forced me to sit still and let him braid my hair. Since then, I've always fixed my hair in a braid. I guess you could call it a force of habit. Halfway through the braiding, though, Sol suddenly stopped. Fingers were tangled in her hair. They didn't move. Sol? Why'd you suddenly stop? Sol? Alto craned her neck upwards, only to see Sol's sleeping face. Hey, don't drool on my hair, okay? It'll be a disaster. He poked his cheek, but there was not a single stir from the raven-haired boy. Sleeping like a baby. Oh well, he's had a rough week. Maybe I'll take a short nap myself. Oh, they're so cute! Alto closed her eyes, enjoying the lingering warmth of her favorite cushion. It was not long until the weight of the day and all the exhaustion finally sunk in, and she succumbed to a peaceful slumber. Chapter 5: Bonds and Bounds.